Do different things differently tonight. That was Beck and Devil's Haircut, and we're going to have our segue in just a moment, the one that we normally start the programmes with. We've got Stuart McConey, Stuart Lee and Richard Herring will be joining in a few seconds' time. This is the segue, though, starting with Johnny Cash. To the programme, and I apologise for that. That was Hank Williams, though, and When God Comes and Gathers His Jewels. I suspect that in, popular newspaper parlance, that probably these days means testicles, but I don't think that's what Hank Williams had in mind when he wrote the song. And before that, it was a live recording of Johnny Cash and I Got Stripes. And any thoughts while you're sitting down there? Let's get the conversation going about morbid country and western songs.
Love them, great. Yeah, Drop Kick Me Jesus Through the Goalposts of Life.
That's Bobby Bear, I think
for starters, yeah. You know that Plastic Jesus? You've heard that one? I don't remember who it's by. It's about a bloke having a little statue of Jesus on the dashboard of his car, which he always prays to in the event of having an accident. Yeah,
that sounds quite a reasonable thing. Yeah. I speak as a man who wears a St Christopher, unrepentant pagan, but I always have two St Christophers, as a matter of fact.
Where's the other one then?
Well, no, they're both on the same chain,
right.
so they go side by side.
They cancel each other out, though. We've got two.
That's a thought. Yeah, I hadn't thought like when you put two credit cards next to each other, or whatever those swipe cards, whatever those things are called. Are you going to talk about anything in particular, or have I got to sit here and try and think of topics?
No, we just... me and Richard...
Should we talk about ourselves?
Why not?
Me and Rich are just going off on tour, actually. That's why we've come in to tell everyone about it, to make them go. And,
please come.
We're about to undertake...
It's like organising a big party and hoping everyone comes and then you get there.
Well, I always hope that people won't, because I always find about a couple of hours into a party, I always think when it's at our house. In fact, people know me well enough now who come to our parties. I just go to bed halfway through, leaving them, rioting downstairs.
It's a bit like that.
You don't want that at your gigs, though.
You don't, because we'll lose a lot of money if no one comes.
we're about to commence the longest tour ever undertaken by a relatively unknown British comedy double act. So it could be some records broken there.
41 dates, and
is it
all around? Yeah, it's all around the country.
As many as that?
It's 41. Can you believe it?
Are there 41 places to play?
There are
in Britain.
Well, there are if you do place. Norwich twice. Which is what we're doing.
You weren't thinking of Lowestoft in your adding up, and Eastbourne.
What about Ipswich? Are you doing Ipswich?
No. Norwich. We sort of thought two in Norwich. People could come from Ipswich to Norwich.
I wouldn't have thought so. There's a strange culture clash there, and.
No, it's good though. We're looking forward to it. I mean, we sort of people always say, "Oh, don't you hate going on tour?" But it's really nice actually because
go on! On day 37, you can't
day
tell
37
me
is particularly good because that's Guildford. No, it is because the rest of the year we sit in an office sort of arguing with each other about the spelling of German words and the use of conjunctions in sentences and whether the joke should come at the end or the beginning or whatever. And when you're off for 2 months, you can't do that. You're just in a van with a man driving you around. It's like a sort of suspension of responsibilities. And every day you have a goal, which is to try and do something quite good for 2 hours, and you probably succeed. It's very sort of satisfying.
This is sounding suspiciously like 12-step now, though, isn't it? Every day you have a little goal to get you through the day, do you?
No, we're so happy if
we change it. Everyone think it would get irritating, but we change it every. I mean, we do the same basic show, but we do about half an hour of ad-lib stuff every show, which means it's quite good fun, and we try to trip each other up.
You know, sometimes even we don't know if it's going to work.
Wow.
We have a pretty good idea it isn't going to work. But we try anyway.
But the beauty of having two of us is, like, if I was on my own or Rich was on his own and we'd really, like, messed up, like John did at the start, we could
nice of you to remind us all of that. Those of you who weren't with us at the start of the programme, and some of it halfway through, we'll reenact the intro to the programme.
I didn't notice what went wrong. I thought it was fine.
But if you're on your own and you mess up, you can just apologise. But if you're with someone else, it becomes a positive strength, because they can ridicule you for your failure, and that becomes, sort of quite exciting, isn't it?
Are you at some stage going to read out all 41 gigs?
At some stage, we'll slip them into conversation.
Do you think you ought to
try and make puns of them
in batches of 10 or something like that?
No, just look in your local paper, and if we're not in there, we're not coming.
Right, okay.
So we're not going anywhere in Cornwall or...
Why?
I don't know.
What have you got against the
Cornish? Devon, though. Quite a lot.
You don't like Scotland, Ireland and Wales, are you?
We're not doing Ireland, which is a real shame, because we get loads of mail from Ireland. So apologies to anyone who's over there and was hoping we'd come. But
well, if you'd love to come, well, how come you can't?
Because we don't organise it, do we?
If we organised it, we wouldn't have 12th of November Aberdeen, 13th. We wouldn't have 18th of November Aberdeen, 19th of November Derby, would we?
That's ridiculous.
331 miles between those.
That's sheer malice on the point of whoever's organising this.
Rob Aslett.
He organised it, yeah. So we don't organise it. But
I had a weekend in the days when the John Peel Roadshow was out and about in the country. I had a weekend when I did like, I think it was Middlesbrough on the Friday, Exeter on the Saturday, and Aberystwyth on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And Aberystwyth, wherever you're starting out from in Britain, Aberystwyth is the furthest away town from where, even if you're in Wales already, it's still, to getting to Aberystwyth takes at least a day.
But you were doing that on your own, which must have been terribly soul-destroying, wasn't it?
Well, no, I quite liked it. I've always been a bit of a miserable bugger, really. So I've always been quite happy just being by myself, really. I sometimes I almost prefer that. And the rest of society is happy to fit in with my plans.
Yeah, we can leave.
We can leave if you want.
Then there'll only be you and the millions of listeners.
Right. I better play the millions of listeners a record. I think they'll be getting fretful. Japan records from the Flaming Stars. 10 feet tall is the title of it. And the Flaming Stars are going to be on this programme tomorrow night, along with art expert Andrew Davis. And amongst the delights we have for you tonight, Stewart McConey. Actually, you've got rather a surfeit of Stewarts. And here's another one. There's a Stuart Braithwaite who sends us a fax anyway. He says, could you tell the kids that Mugwa play King Tut's Wah Wah Hut tomorrow night, and our associates Magic Drive play the 13th Note on Saturday night, both in Glasgow? I'd greatly appreciate it if you could read these gigs out, and I hope you'll enjoy your Mancunian holiday. Holiday? It's talk of working around the clock is what it is. But so what are we going to? What are you going to talk about, Stuart?
Well, a couple of things that have been... excuse me, it's coughing.
I've come to you at the wrong time, haven't
No,
I?
that reminds me, did anyone see Newsnight the other night when Jeremy Paxman had that frightening coughing fit? Oh, it was terrific. He coughed for about... Well, it probably was about a minute and a half, but it felt like an hour. It really was compelling television as he went purple. And
he's working on a programme that's just him coughing.
Is he? Well, I was going to try and make some torturous link now about faux pas, because that's what I wanted to sort of do some stuff about and engage the listeners as well, because this Mark Bosnich thing that's been in the news now, Mark Bosnich, the Aston Villa goalkeeper, who has given a Nazi salute at Tottenham, which I suppose qualifies as a faux pas, and he seems to be genuinely stricken with remorse now, and you kind of do have some sympathy for him. In that
he got a bollocking from his mum. I just read it in one of the papers over in the corner, because, yeah.
If only Mrs. Hitler had stepped in.
Come on, Adolf, you and your silly ways.
But he does seem genuine, and I think, well, everyone's done something in the heat at the moment that, they since regret. But then I imagine then you kind of, your sympathy for him is tempered by the fact, as a general rule of thumb, don't make a Nazi salute, because someone somewhere will get offended by the old Nazi salute. Really.
Yes, it never goes down well at parties.
And also this hot on the heels of that wonderful story about Frank Kermode, the literary critic, presumably maybe even a relation of our very own Mark Kermode, who did you see this story that he gave away his collection of antiquarian books, 20,000 antiquarian books, first editions of like Beckett and Yeats, and he gave them away he was moving house, and he gave them to the bin men, thinking they were the removal men, who of course trashed them, and he's lost a lot, which again, you've got to have a great deal of sympathy for the man. But wouldn't you have thought these are particularly filthy and smelly removal men who have come to the door, and everyone in the street is moving house, it appears, and putting their belongings into bins? It must be...
You'd have thought you'd have spotted...
It certainly must have been a rather long time in the groves of academe and out of touch with reality not to realise that. So anyway, faux pas, because there have been some classic musical faux pas down the years, but most of them actually quite serious, it now occurs to me, like, Bowie's alleged Nazi salute at Victoria Station.
On the back of the car.
The back of the car. He says he was waving at someone in the crowd, which again would have sounded good at Nuremberg. Goebbels had said, I was just waving a lot.
There was a big crowd.
It was an enormous crowd, yeah. And it did come hot on the heels of him saying, Britain needs a fascist dictator. And it came the day before he was stopped at the Russian-Polish border with a suitcase full of Nazi memorabilia. Yeah. So the odds were kind of stacking up against him.
Sort of play down that era of his life, don't they? It's been
they
quite
certainly
forgotten.
Oh, well, I mean...
But we all have the capacity, let's face it. I mean, people
we all have a
admire
suitcase
in an unreasonable kind of... to an unreasonable degree. We've managed to overlook some of their failings, don't we?
Oh, the capacity for stupid. Around about that same time, well, Lennon's is the classic, perhaps, faux pas, except he perhaps wouldn't recount it if he were alive. Right in the Evening Standard in 1966, right now the Beatles are bigger than Jesus, which would be mathematically correct, actually. I don't know. It would be hard to work out.
It's certainly something you could debate sensibly, I'd have thought, rather than just being a hysterical overstatement.
Absolutely.
Well, there was only one of Jesus and there were four of the Beatles. So they were
so multiplied by four.
They were bigger. They were 4 times bigger.
And of course...
It would have come to a scrap, I think.
He had other forces on his side, though.
Arguably.
But Ringo, the drum, a bit.
On more of a sort of music journal, my favourite music journal faux pas, a colleague of mine who shall be nameless.
Who was it?
Was called to. I can't tell you. It was Paolo Hewitt. Was called upon to interview Stevie Wonder, who had a suite at the Park Lane Hilton, which is a fabulous look overlooking Park Lane, and did, as an icebreaking question, go to the window and say, "Terrific view you've got here, Stevie, isn't it?" And didn't realise that sort of silence. So what I wanted to do was musical.
Can I just because I used to get letters before. I used to get letters from on a very regular basis from this woman, obviously a slightly disturbed woman, who was under the impression that where she got the idea from I simply can't imagine, but who knows on these occasions. She thought that I shared a flat somewhere off Baker Street with Lou Reed and Stevie Wonder, and she'd write me letters, "John, can you tell Steve I don't like the new single very much, but I'm looking forward to the LP, and as for that Lou, and it's all stuff like this." And I used to say to her on air, or write back to her and so say, we have such fun together, but we hate it when it's Stevie's turn to do breakfast, And she just carried on writing. Anyway, sorry.
No, well, I was wondering, and if anyone, I was going to have that as a sort of strand about faux pas, but if anyone out there knows of any classic musical or otherwise ones, really, you can fax us. This is sounding so DJ now, isn't it? On 064.
You are a DJ.
Well, I know, it's about it as a manner of speaking. Yeah, 0645 110 100. You can do that.
Again, that's
0645 110 100.
It's good the way you went 110 100. That's what DJs do. Don't go 110
110 100. No, 110 100. No, 110 100. There you go.
Do you think it's time for me to play a record in there, producer? OK, let's go. Dishy Records, 7-inch single called Tintorera, actually I think the B side of the single. And Stewart and Richard, I know I'm not supposed to call you back into the programme at this junction, but here's a fax from John Bell from Kilsyth, I think it is, Glasgow. He says, "Dear John, love your shows, always try to listen." I think that try is rather key.
How hard can it be?
That's right. He says, "Can you please ask Stewart or Richard if they recall the name and artist of a song they played on their show on Radio 1? It may have been called I Can Fill That Hole For You."
I can fill that hole for you.
Yeah.
No.
I think you're confusing us with someone else.
Yeah.
It's one of the smutty programmes.
I can fill that hole for you. I don't know, usually people, you can usually remember, because we have so few things we can actually agree on that we want to play, that we can usually remember. But
I think it's some kind of bet there to get that onto the radio. To get John Field to say, "I can fill that hole for you." Yeah. And you succeeded.
He's taped it now.
You won your bet, John, yes. OK, time for me to play another record. We'll come back to you officially later on. This is Wilson from them somewhere, with some gigs and things that they've got coming up on it, that I was going to read out in a loud and clear voice, but I can't find it. So it's your turn again, Stuart, I think.
Is it me?
It is you, yes, it is.
Blimey. No, I wanted to continue to think about faux pas because... because that's how I've started. I'll stop doing this, I promise. But I've now found that letter from Wilson. No, it says, "How about bringing some enjoyment to the lives of a bunch of depressed City supporters by giving their gig at the Manchester Boardwalk on October the 23rd to mention on your show? And if you really wanted to bring them happiness, you might even give their single Josmo King Another World." Well, I've just done that, so there you go. Fantastic.
It's nice to be able to bring... Sorry, go on.
Didn't you? I thought you were going to ask me. Aren't there some people? Is that for later on? Aren't there some people in Cambridge you want me to say something?
Actually, there are some people in Cambridge who want you to say something, and amazingly, this is
marvellous. To say, "Can you fill that hole?"
No. Well, oddly enough, not entirely unrelated. They want you to say tongue.
Tongue?
Yeah.
As
you just did it.
Tongue?
I think they probably want you to say, I bet.
Okay. Oh, well, now you've got me. I'll have to say it in context now, because I'm deliberately affecting a voice.
How would you...
How can I say it?
Well, be careful.
Yes, let's think of an innocuous phrase that contains the word. Oh, I probably would say tongue. Yeah. That's what they want me to say.
Right.
Tongue.
Danny Spence of Gunthorpe, Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, and his mates...
Gunthorpe?
I think that's what it is.
Well, he's riled
now.
Like people in East Anglia can talk about
the whiff of a fictitious locale, Gunthorpe.
Yeah, so the possibility of another taste.
You do realise someone's editing all these things together. I can feel that over your tongue and everything. There'll be someone's Christmas party will be enlivened by celebrity obscenities. Well, he says rather than elevating himself.
Just something I've noticed on this programme and on the other programmes I did when I was Mark Radcliffe for a week or so is that everybody who comes in, knows each other, but they also know everybody else in the world. So all of you are sitting there talking about things that you have in common, people that you know in common, places that you go to in common.
I only met Stewart for the first time last Tuesday. At the pop quiz that we we
see.
Yes. So it sounded like we were always there.
Because I thought perhaps it was like me and Lou Reed and Stevie Wonder, and you all did live together.
We're all celebrities live in a big flat, apart from you, John. And it's been a big secret. Yeah. So don't let that jump.
Nobody will say, yes, don't tell him where we are, for God's sake.
I just don't know how Stewart McConey got into the
stories about
Yeah, well, Lou Reed moved out to go to John Peel's flat.
Yeah, Lou moved out, the rent seemed reasonable, so I moved in that big old flat.
Okay,
I completely lost my drift now.
We don't know anyone, me and Rich, we don't know anyone famous.
No.
Who do we know? We know Annabelle Giles. That's
Yeah.
it, innit?
Well, we tend to alienate, it was to do with faux pas, we tend to alienate any famous people we meet by being all starry-eyed and saying the wrong thing.
One of the reasons I started talking about faux pas because David Quantick we finished this.
We know him.
This will make John even more worried that a conspiracy is going on behind his back. But the other night we were in a pub in London with David Quantick and myself and Martin Roster from Gene. And the reason that this faux pas subject came up is because Martin Roster told us, remarkably, that he'd been to school with a member of the Spice Girls and a member of Let Loose. The three of them were all in the same class, and David Quantick said, "Blimey, you could have formed a really crap group." not that you're crap, Martin, you're good, but they're quite crap, aren't they? And then I'll go now. So.
Spice Girls are good.
Spice Girls are good for that, aren't they?
Oh, I'm not, opinions expressed by this person, and not necessarily.
But three very different approaches would have made a crap group.
Yeah, that's a very
that's
tough
what I'd
word,
have got out of it.
Be like the travelling Wilburys, wouldn't it?
Rather strange travelling Wilburys.
Which one's going to be Roy Orbison, though?
No, not with that lineup.
I want to get back to faux pas because the other thing is that Bob Dole has made some rather tremendous ones recently. Have you seen the thing that he said that he congratulated the Brooklyn Dodgers recently on winning again. The Brooklyn Dodgers, who moved from Brooklyn, now the LA Dodgers, moved in 1958. I bet
But that's the sort of thing that Americans admire, isn't it? Because the 1950s are what they want, isn't that right? No?
Is that right?
Well, Americans can do anything. That bloke just said on the news.
In politics,
they can land on Mars.
In politics in America, they seem to see sort of incompetence as a mark of integrity as well. I mean, like the guy who's the bloke who could never spell potato.
Oh, Dan Quayle.
Yeah, he always brings that up. That's his Republican Party joke. He sort of goes, "I may not be able to spell potato, but I know what's good for society."
I know what a potato is. Well, when asked about this is rather nice you should mention that, because when asked about the Holocaust, Dan Quayle replied, "It was an obscene period in our nation's history." No, not in our nation's history, but in World War II. We all lived in this century. I didn't live in this century, but in this century's history, was his considered response to the subject of the Holocaust.
It's good to know that people like that are on the fringes of being in charge.
One of my favourite, this is a mildly political faux pas. I was once in an amateur dramatics group who were doing a benefit for Amnesty International.
You've lived life,
I have,
you?
to the full. It's absolutely.
You could die tomorrow.
With the Spice Girls in it.
Now I understand why you're a celebrity.
It's me, it's amateur dramatics people, the Boo Radleys, and we were playing a benefit for Amnesty.
Is this what we're supposed to be doing? Or is there another agenda to which we've not even got close to?
Don't worry, this isn't going out.
Right, okay.
None of this is going out. And after the performance, we were getting to change backstage, and the secretary went to the front to give an address and said, "Well, I think we all agree that was a tremendous performance, blah, blah, blah. Now, as you know, each Amnesty International group around the country has got their own political prisoner that we write to and send succour to, etc., etc. Unfortunately, ours has been released. And so we'll have to find another one."
Inconsiderate swine.
So there you go. So I may do some, I may not, but I may do some more of that kind of thing later.
Okay, time for another tune, except I think it's this one over here that I'm going to play you now. This starts very right. You put in lots of records to start really quietly so that I'll panic and think I've done something wrong again. It's all the producer's fault. Nothing to do with me, listen. I'm not sure what record label it's on, to be honest, but Stunt Girl is the title of it, and I seem to remember a notice being attached to it at one stage saying they've got an LP coming out later in the year, and I look forward to that. Despite their music, I admire a couple of them, at least, for the way that they got through some kind of elitist security barrier at the 1995 Phoenix Festival. I've seldom seen anything done so beautifully. One moment, they're on one side of the barrier, and within just like a twinkling of an eye, they were on the other side of the barrier, and to this day I don't know how they did it. It was a beautiful thing to witness, though. Right, I think it's a Lee and Herring break here, although this doesn't seem to make much difference, really, because we all talk throughout everything, and all together, actually, all at the same time.
I hope that's understandable to people. It's very exciting for us all to meet each other.
We got some nice.
Although we do all live together, we should
do.
point that out.
Not with
Except
John.
for me.
We got some people have faxed us, which is marvellous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
But Caroline Gray of Huntley in Aberdeenshire has asked if she can have some free tickets to see us, and no, you can't, because we're travelling to Aberdeen. We're travelling 600 miles in 2 days to come and do that gig, so we have to pay off the petrol.
She's the one who lives in Depot Road.
She's in Depot Road. We don't want to give too much away.
But it does sound like not a lively place.
It's a very attractive
Hey, everybody,
depot.
let's get down to Depot Road. It's all happening down there
It's a
today.
historic depot there. They're named after. But you spelt possible Posiable, so you definitely can't have tickets.
Lots of people keep writing to us, like asking us what we'd played when we used to do a show on Radio 1, and just listen the first time round.
More closely. Yeah.
We may never be asked again or to do anything. And
But I get that. What I get is people wait about 11 years, and then they write in and say there was it was just after a reggae record. I think it had the word jar in it, and. They expect, and of course, like being a complete Burke, I try and find out. I spend days going through piles of paper trying
I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember listening to something about 1981 of you, and it was a reggae song, and the chorus was "Money Worries" like that, and I really liked it. Can you remember who that was?
No.
But if you'd like to take a bit of time to find out, I'd appreciate it.
There'll be somebody listening who will
We've
know
got
the
to
answer.
say, for Alan Driscoll, we've got to say GCSE Russian Oral.
Some reason.
Why?
And, yeah,
Because they're doing this thing, they're putting it together, it goes with whatever it was before. Tong, and
Can you
put
fill
it in
that
there.
hole?
Oh, I'll keep on hitting my mark.
Melissa O'Reilly said to us, did we play...
Hello, Melissa.
Yeah, you see, we know who you are. Did we play $500 bottle of wine by The Fall on the show? No, we
No.
didn't play that on the show. The last Fall song we played was No Xmas for John Keys from The Fall's first album. 'Cause
Listen
we're really
next
old,
time.
So listen next time.
It's a
We put a
surefire
lot of
way
work into our
It's a
shows.
surefire way of getting mail, though,
It is.
isn't it? Play obscure records and then mumble the title
Obscure
afterwards.
records. The Fall, an obscure record.
Well, I mean,
Am I allowed to walk out? Can I? Is that in my
I'd
contract?
say your point. In the grand scheme of things, I think No Xmas for John Keys is an obscure record. No?
Not in the world I'm proud to inhabit.
Not me. It was a Christmas record anyway, that one. We played it at Christmas, didn't we?
And go to bed, Melissa.
Go to bed, Melissa. It's too late for
There we
you.
go. We're on MTV at the moment. If people want to see what we look like at the moment, I'm quite fat and Stu's relatively thin.
And we look even thinner on MTV, because everything's filmed very flatteringly on MTV.
We're on
so
at 6 o'clock. We're filling in for Toby Amos.
who's away at the moment.
It's very good fun.
something. Yeah, it's interesting doing MTV, actually, because it's a real delight to come in here and hear some raucous, exciting music after listening to sort of chart stuff all
I
day.
don't know, E17 and Gabrielle was pretty
It was
raucous.
quite good, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think that's quite right. Have I committed a faux pas now and calling the Fall obscure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you certainly weren't.
Hey, that
Yeah,
links
yeah,
you
so-
back to the faux pas.
Oh, well.
Right, we seem to be petering out a bit on this one. Is it time to... in that case, I shall play another record. This is the one that I urge you, listeners at home, but also the people here in the studio, to listen to most carefully. This is the work, and marvellous stuff it is too, of the Swedish Elvis Presley, a man called Eilert Pilam, and from his greatest hits LP...
Can I just ask, would you consider this obscure?
well, it is at the moment.
Listen to it and remember it now
You will,
if you like it.
you will remember this for the rest of your lives. Your lives, in 2 minutes' time, your lives will be
Great.
different lives.
One through a pod in the car door.
Well, make it 2.5 minutes because I was playing the wrong track there, and I think it is important to get the right one. Because I just push these things into the machine and forget to queue up the right one.
That's right.
Oh no, hold on. You keep talking. In fact, I'll open your microphones and you can talk while I
You've
try
seen
and...
the Streatham Elvis, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen that. There's two restaurants next door to each other in Streatham in South London, which both have Elvis impersonators in them, which would seem to be testing the limits of the market, really, for Elvis impersonators.
There's a guy in this region somewhere. I can't remember seeing him when I was still living around here on Granada Reports. Who changed his name to Ron Elvis Presley. And then during the interview, every time the name, why have you changed your name to Ron Elvis Presley? And he said, because I love the King. He's from something like Rottenstall. Because I love the King, and he's great. And every time the interviewer, I think it was Bob Graves, would say, so what is it about Elvis? Every time he said this, Ron Elvis Presley would stand up. You know, like some people bow their head when they say Jesus, and he would stand up, and in the end, they sit down, and he would not sit down. So, Ron, if you're listening.
It's funny because Elvis is called Elvis Ron Presley, isn't he?
Almost. That's actually true. He is almost, isn't he?
I think it's time for me to play this.
Great.
Have another go at playing this record.
One night with you. It's what I'm not praying for you. The things that we could to play would you make my dreams come true. Just call my name one night with you. It's what I'm not praying for you. The things that we could to play. Would you make my dreams come true? Always living where the queen my life. I never did no wrong. Now I know the life without you has been too lonely, too long. One night with you, it's what I'm not praying for you. The things that we could to play. Would you make my dreams come true?
That was one of those embarrassing moments because when I first looked up at you all, you're all sitting there absolutely stuck. Oh no, I've got this terribly wrong. But that is rather wonderful, don't you think?
Yeah,
it
excellent.
is. Yeah.
It's the best music to come out of Sweden, certainly
In the recent past.
In a very. Would you like to hear him doing one of his up-tempo numbers?
Yeah,
I
go on
think-
quickly.
I think Long Tall Sally is.
Give him a chance, you know, you've got to give him
It's
both.
like being at someone's house, this is them going, oh, this bit's really good, this is good.
Well, that's how it should be. Too. I mean, I think that's a nice thing to have said. Right,
It is.
this
Well,
is
meant as that.
this is this is Long Tall Sally.
Go tell old Manny about Uncle John. He said to have a fun, oh baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby, have some fun tonight. Well, Long Tall Sally's not on the bar, and nobody cares, he's not on, oh baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby, have some fun tonight. And I saw Uncle John with Long Tall Sally. I saw Aunt Mary coming back again, oh baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby, have some fun tonight. Well, go have some fun tonight. Have some fun tonight. Have some fun tonight. Everything's alright. Gonna have some fun tonight. Well, Long Tall Sally has knocked on the bar, and nobody can see Long Tall, baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby, have some fun tonight. Well, so Uncle John with Long Tall Sally, I saw one man coming back to the ooh, baby. Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby, have some fun tonight. Well, gonna have some fun tonight. Have some fun tonight. Have some fun tonight. Everything's alright. Gonna have some fun tonight.
The Swedish Elvis Presley, that's Eilert Pilarm and Long Tall Sally. Now, listening to that, do you think that, I mean, because I genuinely don't know, and in a sense I don't really want to know, whether he's just an incredibly clever bloke who happens to be able to do that, or whether he, you know...
Actually, listening to it, I've spent many long Sunday nights at London Musicians Collective gigs at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, watching very, very ancient and venerable freeform jazz musicians trying to kind of recreate that same level of like disrespect for musical convention through decades of training that he just seems to have stumbled across. Accident. I don't know. Is it accidentally? That's the question, isn't it?
We could ask him because he lives with us, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Well, I think it's an accident because it sounds like I was in Paris and there was a busker and I was sitting in a bar and there was a French busker singing an Englishman in New York by Sting, which was similar. I'm an Englishman in New York, and him seeing that in Paris, it sounded very like that. And it was
I think the picture, I just don't know. See, the picture of him on the front, it kind of looks.
Chuck it over.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it looks like an innocent, doesn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
For listeners at home, he actually looks like George Dawes, the giant baby in Shooting Stars, dressed in an Elvis.
He sounds
suit.
Chinese to me, I have to say. But, yeah.
Do you think...
Actually, you're not supposed to be on yet. Hold on a second. I think I better play another record and then we can get you back. This is one that we tried to play last night. I said we tried to play. Why don't you see? Do you say we when you mean me? Now when you're a disc jockey. Now that you're a disc jockey.
Yeah. Well,
I said we tried to play. It was me that tried to play. It wasn't we.
He'll say it now, John.
From now on, I will.
He's trying to learn.
It was just me. But we had to fade it half. We have done it again. I have to fade it.
We are a grandmother.
Programme on Radio 1 at midnight. I was moaning on last night about my not playing the entire track. Death in Vegas, Rocco, that was the Dave Clark mix, and it is actually your turn to do something at this juncture, although I don't know what. I've had another fax here from John Bell. He's the fellow who asked about, he obviously didn't get a decent recording of I Can Fill That Hole For You, because he sent us another fax, and it says, further to my request regarding the mystery track I Can Fill That Hole For You, played on the Lee and Herring show on the... He's got the dates and everything. I've actually got most of this track on tape. At the end of the track, Richard's talking to Stewart Bainham?
Pete
Bainham?
No, I thought it was a surfeit of Stewart's again, about jobs and interviews and pictures of frogs. Is this jogging
Well,
memory?
the reason we don't know is because we didn't know that is because the Radio 1 cleverly did a best of Lee and Herring show without consulting us about it, which and put in lots of music that we hadn't chosen, and sort of to not slag them off too much, messed it up a bit. So if you've heard that and not any of our other stuff, please listen next time we're on and when we've actually put the show together. And apologies to anyone who didn't enjoy that best of.
But someone...
Because it wasn't the best of.
But a Karen has written in, has faxed in, saying that I Could Fill That Hole For You is actually the refrain from the recent single by the Trash Can Sinatra. It's called How Can I Apply? So there we are, we've sorted something out.
Sorted out.
Service.
Glad you enjoyed someone else's
John Bell,
choice of
Trash
music.
Can Sinatras, there you go. And what's it called again?
It's called How Can I Apply, and it's on their new album, and then the fax gets kind of chewed up there. So it starts with and
then it's some letters in
deal,
it.
also a deal.
But pill, it might be.
I should be able to jump in at this point and tell you what it's called, shouldn't I? But I can't for the life of me, so...
The professional music.
Tell everyone your album show.
Yes, that's a cue into your album show.
Yeah, I can't tell you for the life of me what it's called. Should know that kind of stuff. Should be, just there with, names of immediate family, but it's not, sadly, so no. So.
Never mind, Stuart.
Well, we've given you the heaven-sent opportunity to plug your radio program.
Was that an opportunity?
How many times we've got to pass the ball to you? What do I do with this ball and put it down?
I'm sorry, it's my natural reticence. Yes, listen, 10 till midnight, Sundays, after your own good self.
That's true, yeah.
I hear Mick Hucknall was an excellent guest on it.
Did you? Who told you that?
I don't know, I can't remember who it was.
Who told you that?
There was a natural bonhomie between the two of you.
Diamond Geezer.
Everyone in our house is talking about it.
Sometimes you meet people and you don't get on because you come from different worlds, or sometimes you meet people and you just naturally hit it off straight away, and it was like that with me, Mick. Yeah.
One of those two options.
One of those kind of things, yeah. That was marvellous. No, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to plug the show.
Right.
And because I'm still learning the ropes of the old machinery there.
That's right, you're picking up hints from me as we go.
I am, and there's an added free song to people listening. Not only will you hear, hey, the greatest new music on album, but you might hear them being taken out whilst they're playing and me swearing or anything like that.
Being played at the wrong speed.
Yeah, well...
Tell me this, what is it that makes your show unique? And, why should someone...
I'm not adequately prepared for this question. Could I fire it back to you, this question, and say, where'd you get your crazy ideas from?
Well, what we do is we get old goodies scripts and we just change the nouns.
I don't know if you saw, there was a programme on a few years ago, not many people remember, which was Newman and Baddiel in pieces. We just do that. Is
that what you do?
Yeah, we saw them on telly and we thought, why don't we do that? We'll just copy that exactly the same, but with different faces.
That's said with the sort of clenched teeth bitterness of someone who's had that accusation thrown at them. I know.
No, it's just true.
I know that.
And the goodies.
I've got quite a good goodies story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a real star-studded story. In that I was at the Old Marquee. I've gone to see some band there, and a couple of the members of the goodies, and I can't remember which two they were, and you wouldn't think it of them, really, but we're in there and have been drinking and tried to pick a fight with me. Because I'd given their Funky Gibbon, deservedly, I think, a bad review in a music paper. But and I was rescued from these raging, rampaging goodies by Robert Plant, who interposed his body between me and them.
Which two was it? You've got to say now.
Well, I feel like he must have been one of them, or it couldn't have been much of a fight.
He is a fierce boy, or used to be. I don't know, but it was.
This is fantastic.
Well, did they think the Funky Gibbon was like a fantastic piece of music?
They came over to you and said, "Look, it's a single.
Yeah.
We've got to put the commercial stuff out as a single. The album's different."
That's right. Yes.
The album's like Captain Beefheart.
Robert Plant hates the goodies, though. He's always...
Whenever it's his turn to get breakfast, he's always... Anybody puts on a goodies record and he's...
But Bill Oddie's been charming to us. We made a joke about Bill Oddie on our first series, about him fancying birds rather more than the feathered variety, and he wrote back and
He sent us a
denied
signed
it.
photo.
That's an expression I haven't heard. This is about 1972 of the feathered variety, that is.
He gave us a signed photo, and he said if we ever met John Peel, we were to punch him in the face hard.
He actually made a record. I used to have a record label called Dandelion Records, and he did a single, and he sings very well. He's got a good singing voice.
Yeah.
He did a great, he did On Ilkley Moor Bar Tat, in the manner of Joe Cocker's With a Little Help from My Friend.
Bill Oddie?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Produced by me, in fact. And if we had Mop the Hoople playing the music, and the organist couldn't get it right. And we did about 12 takes, and he kept playing two notes back to front, and we eventually just had to put it out.
So I'm gathering from this then, that with my Holmesian deductive powers, that either Bill Oddie wasn't one of the two who assailed you, or that you patched things up pretty splendidly afterwards.
No, this happened before. I think it was
and so that's how you repaid him.
It was the other two.
The other
It
two, you must have
the
been
other
Graham Garden and Tim Brooke Taylor. You needed Robert Plant to help you.
I've never been much of a... I was frightened of using my military training on them, because I could have,
We'll
really...
put it out. No, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. We're all
Now, someone's got to do a story about Mop the Hoople. What I like about this is every time anyone mentions something, someone else can pick up a story about something else. Maybe we should just go to a record.
I think it's time for a record. Oh, yeah, can't be so bitchy at times. The record I played you before, that was on Minty Records by Sten, and it's called Boys Are Wired Wrong. And there was, in fact, you're scheduled to, you two, I'm sorry, you'll have to be quiet for this one.
That's fine by me.
But you're scheduled to speak again here. But once again, there was something, I've got something utterly riveting I was going to ask you, and it's gone. So have you got anything riveting to say? Any more faxes come in at all?
Well, yeah, we've got the name of that Trash Can Sinatra's album now. It's called A Happy Pocket. And Karen sent in about that, so, if you were one of those people that was curious about what it was.
In other words, if you were John Bell.
If you were John Bell.
It's nice to do that, though, on a sort of national scale.
It is.
Sort out one man's problem about something we don't know anything about.
And didn't you have a Gene story? Have you already told that? There was a...
Gene?
Just because I've got a Gene record coming. Did you say you were talking to somebody out of Gene?
That was...
No, I mentioned...
In that case, you can speak.
No, I think I can't. No, I'm not saying it again. If you missed it the first time round,
I couldn't remember whether you said it from the microphones.
We've been having such good fun talking in between records. We can't remember if we told the Simon Bates is a wanker story on air or not.
I can't remember that one either. But I'll play the Gene record, I think, and cover my confusion. And a single called Fighting Fit. This next record has some relevance to one of the most exciting moments in my life, and this sounds like the sort of thing that people, men my age, write on lavatory walls, I'm afraid. But I did a gig in Oxford once. The Mekons were playing, that's how long ago it was, and it was the only time in my life that a woman ever asked me to autograph her breast. And it was in the middle of the kind of dance floor, and she produced this fairly substantial breast. And also, she didn't want me to. She didn't have to, but she felt autographing one would be enough, I think. And but of course, the thing is that normally if you're autographing something in sort of space, you have to put something underneath it, And I thought, well, can I sort of put my hand underneath to hold it steady while I was? It was a crush, and people are gathering round. I think probably more to look at the breast rather than my autographing technique. But it was people always think, what a fantastic thing it must be asked to do. And
I think you can touch it if that happens, John. Because it's sort of like I think they're saying, "Will you touch my breasts?" I think they're basically saying.
So has that ever happened to
No,
you?
and you autographed in space. I thought you said you were in Oxford.
No. I mean, it's, I can't be bothered to explain it. The point I was going to make was that playing just down the road, and I would have thought a far better gig, were the Specials, in those days known as the Coventry Specials, and this is their Gangsters. That's a terrible link in it, really, let's be honest. Unusual. That I let the record go all the way to the end and the sort of conclusion and then speak. Now, have you made a note of that? Do you want to write? I've got one or two more faxes here. First of all, thanks to Steve, the Hibernian supporter, for his fax, and that's all there is to it, really, but it was kindly thought. And it says here, can you please play a track by Gorky's for Rick in Warrington? 17. Oh, so you approve of Gorky's?
Yeah.
Yes, that's quite right too. Unfortunately, of course, in the standard, and this is another thing. Write this down.
Okay, I'll just down.
You never have the record
never
that
have
people
it.
request.
So I'll sing it for you.
You say, but I haven't got love.
Barbed wire. I can't speak Welsh.
What used to happen is people would, then they would say, but I do have Love Patrol by the Dooleys, and I hope that'll do.
Hey, I can come in there with some...
You're really getting the hang of this, I can see.
I can come in there with some information. Gorky's are playing the Flapper and Firkin in Birmingham on the 2nd of November and the Sheffield Leadmill on the 3rd.
And are we playing?
And we're in Birmingham and Sheffield on those nights as well.
When are they playing
We'll
Birmingham? I
see
want to make a
We'll
note of
see you
that.
in the pub.
Same venues or different?
No, it's a shared bill. It's an unusual evening. No, we're at theatres, but, you know, if you're one of those people that keeps writing to us saying play Gorky's Psychotic Monkey, you're going to have a bit of a divided loyalty evening that night.
If you are in those two towns.
But I'd go and see Gorky's, to be honest. Well, I would, but I can't. I would, but I can't because I'll be on stage.
You'll be on stage, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not get a record of Gorky's and come and see us?
Put it on a Walkman. Unusual evening that would be.
Oh, here's another one. This is from Steve. Frankly, Steve. I can't make out his surname anyway. It's all messed up a bit. But it says, amongst other things, I'm glad you've taken time out to champion the cause of Earthworm Jim. Sunday mornings would be dull without him. Did you see the giant fair-bearing trout episode? A triumph. Well, indeed it was. Are you Earthworm Jim fans?
You've asked me about this before, and no,
I've never seen the television programme. If that's what I've seen the video game. But,
There's a video game?
I liked my favourite Sunday morning cartoon was Sunday Heroes, which is in that Gloria Hunniford programme. But they had like a cartoon about St Patrick, and they'd do a 3. It's sort of done this.
And kids all over the country were saying, hey, forget those Power Rangers, there's something of an ecclesiastical bent on here.
I love the heroes aspect of it, as if you're going to go, yeah, and then they sort of just
They all want to be like him.
convert Ireland rather than... But he does some kung fu.
Shiploads of people going out to throw the last snake out of Ireland. It's been done. Sorry, you'll all have to turn back. You're wasting your time.
I've actually heard from my friends that are school teachers that are very worried about children in the playground emulating the behaviour of early saints now.
I think there's a routine in this. There is.
And when one of us come on, and remember, St Patrick has powers that you don't possess, so don't try that at home.
Yeah, you never know. If you get up early enough, you see some strange things early in the morning, don't you? I mean, not on the TV, just generally.
in the mirror, in my case. There's a thing I've been seeing in the last 3 mornings when I've been in a fancy hotel here in Manchester is what's it called? Making Over. Is it called something like that? Do you know the one I mean?
I've heard about
John Ketley and another one of the weathermen. It came. I mean, it's quite. It's one of those things. You know, first of all you sneer at it, but then it has a kind of extraordinary. You know, it's like watching. I was watching late last night. I was watching that Le Mans film with Steve
McQueen.
Steve
Yes.
McQueen, where they have those extraordinary car accidents in very, very slow motion,
Yes.
sort of chopped up bits of film, which are very effective. And programs like that are not dissimilar in a way. You know, because it's
a morbid fascination.
They do, yeah. And John Ketley, they'd sort of shaved off his moustache and they'd done him up rather like a sort of Edwardian, somebody that you see on Derby Day, trying to get off with servant girls, a rather overdone person in yellow trousers, that kind of stuff. But it's all of these things. I find, you find yourself being drawn into them, which I suppose after all is the intention.
We missed out. I mean, when me and Rich weren't very busy, and we're very busy now. We've got a lot of work, got a lot of projects in development. When we weren't very busy, we used to be able to watch sort of daytime TV all day, and you get a lot of ideas from it, just from seeing things that would never have occurred to you. Sort of ill-informed experts on
Raj Persaud, I think you mean, by ill-informed expert on This Morning.
Who's Raj Persaud?
Oh, come on, watch a bit of telly.
He's a guy they
You've
have.
got a job, haven't you?
I usually mid-morning I've got a slim volume of difficult modern verse in my hand.
He's an expert on psychology and psychiatry, but knows about everything. He can come in and he sits there and goes...
Rather like us, actually.
Yeah. We're not experts.
So, he's just kind of called on to This Morning to sort of discuss anything, but he doesn't really know about anything. He has to make all these kind of glib pronouncements.
But he's very confident. So confident that you probably believe what he says.
But that's what you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that extraordinary confidence. I mean, I remember the first time Noel Edmonds appeared at Radio 1, and he was there as a replacement, in essence, for Kenny Everett, who'd just been fired.
What,
for
because he had a beard?
Well, no, I'm not sure that he did at the time, but about the same height, actually. Perhaps that's the way they judge these things. But he came in, and he was seen as just like a short-term replacement. But he walked into that building, and in his own eyes, I don't say this in a hostile way, because it's actually quite impressive. In his own eyes, he was a star.
Yeah.
You know, and by believing this, he can become one, you know,
Well,
because,
yeah.
no, I mean, he achieved that status which all DJs, write this down, Stuart.
I'll jot this down, yes.
The status that all DJs aspire to is being famous for being famous. You know, because you think if somebody says to you, what does he actually do? You just say, well, he's Noel Edmonds. To a lot of us, that might be too much of a price to pay. But, I mean,
Well,
you know...
in its essence, what he does is makes false mistakes and then laughs at them as if they're not scripted. That seems to be what he does.
Funny what you were saying there about though, doing stuff with confidence. I mean, that was the vibe I got off that Elvis guy, the Swedish Elvis. He did it with such conviction that you know you can't really question it. And that's something me and Rich have learned, that we can write terrible material, but if we do it with enough confidence, people don't seem to notice. And we've been getting away with that for maybe 10 years now. Until I pointed it out now, and you know.
There are generations of particularly Radio 4 comedy programmes which are based on entirely that. Whether, you know, I won't name names, but there are things that you know, over the years, that news series and things you thought, I'll listen to this, see what it's like, I can do with a bit of a laugh. And the number of programmes you just sit absolutely sort of ashen-faced JP, or 47 or whatever it was. And there was a thing called the Spam Fritter Man, which when I die, the word Spam Fritter Man will be on my heart. Time for another tune, I think. It's reinforcement, and it's on Universal Egg Records, connected with Zion Train, therefore. Power Steppers, and that's Parametric Equalisation. Catchy title for a tune, actually, isn't it? When you're sitting down trying to think of something to call a dub number, let's call it Parametric Equalisation. That's a good idea. Let's do that. You've got loads of faxes, haven't you, now?
Well, we've had a fax to say that Gorky's are sold out of Birmingham. So, you know, the problem we had about deciding which gig to go to is now over.
All the really pissed off people who can't get into the Gorky's gig are going to come to yours.
Us. Yeah. That's a friend of Gaz's Sideburns.
Or maybe it means sold out in the sense they're just going to do Michael Bolton numbers like that.
We haven't sold out.
We're not sold out in Birmingham.
Yeah. So that means we're not as good
but,
as
you know,
Gorky's.
it's not a big college town, is it?
It's quite a big college town.
Oh, yeah,
but we start our tour, Lee and Herring live, off of TV's Fist of Fun, for legal reasons.
Promotional moment, listeners.
We start on Monday. We've got 2 nights in Norwich, 21st, 22nd. That's Monday and Tuesday next
Whereabouts?
week.
What are the venues?
We're at Norwich Arts Centre on Monday and
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then Thursday next week, a week tomorrow, we're at the Warwick Arts Centre in
That one
Coventry.
is selling very well, apparently. So get your tickets early.
Friday the 25th, we're at the Cliffs Pavilions in Southend.
That's doing terribly, I think.
Well,
I would have thought so. The thing is, any seaside town, you probably don't have to buy tickets in advance for. It seems like the seaside towns are populated. It's like a sort of...
Especially in November.
Body snatchers thing. There's anyone over 15 and under 80. There isn't anyone in the town.
We're getting in the way of Stewart.
Sorry.
Go on.
Yes.
Well, last time I was in Southend, I was actually heckled off at the Cliffs Pavilion for being gay. I'm not even gay. It's an unusual evening. So I'm looking forward to going back there, obviously. The 26th, we're in King's Lynn, wherever that is. Where is that?
Seriously?
Oh,
King's Lynn?
Yeah.
That's extraordinary. The Fall did King's Lynn. I'm sorry to mention the Fall.
Oh,
in front
do,
of you,
please.
but it's
It is very obscure.
an obscure band, an obscure town. But it's King's Lynn is a coming place, I think.
I think so. Well, that's why we're going there. We're trying to, you know, give these towns a chance. 27th, Gravesend, and then after that, you'll have to consult the press because I can't sit
We
here all
can read
night.
41 towns at you if you want. Go on, fax in a town, and we'll tell
Actually,
you.
speaking of faxes, do you want to
Yes, I
do
do.
your Polish...
Yes, I do. Piotr Dabrowski, who in Warsaw, in Poland, has faxed us.
That Warsaw.
Well, he could have been my
That's
charming.
very American, isn't it? That Warsaw, Poland.
Well, it could have been my charming pronunciation. You might have thought I meant Warsaw in the West Midlands. But, dear John, what the hell did you play before the AC Acoustics record? It makes me very unhappy that I don't know what it is, especially since, and then I can't see the rest of it. But I think you played Baby Bird, didn't you?
I did, a track from the LP.
And rather generously, you've told me to say that if Piotr wants to fax or email us again with his home address, you'll give him a copy.
Well, I've got a spare one at home, so I'll send it to him.
So if you do that, Piotr...
What a great guy. What a great guy.
So you do that and you can have your very own copy, isn't that? Hands across the water sort
On
of
this
thing,
show,
isn't
you
it?
can win prizes just by being from Poland.
Yeah.
Just by being. Really, that's
Stuart,
yeah.
could you say Tong again?
Tongue.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think I've got to get rid of you, otherwise we're going to go into Claire Sturgis's programme, which would be an embarrassment. Anything that you want to say by way of conclusion?
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. Yes, I think
It's
that's
an
about
honour
it.
to
It wasn't
perform alongside.
wasn't my idea. I said, can't you get some of those fast show people? And they said, no, they're far
Yeah,
too
I've
big.
noticed that. I wonder if we do get a third series, I wonder if you'd like to take time out to promote that every week in your radio times column.
I'll do my level best. Anyway, thanks very much for coming in.
Cheers.
And here's a good record for you before you disappear into the night. Well, they've all been pretty good, but this one I like particularly. This is from Revelino. own blood than listen to Daddy, but it's the sort of thing that he likes, and so do I. It's by, who is it by? It's by Go Mental, and the title of it, frankly, we don't know, but an excellent record for all that. And my thanks to Stuart McConey and Stuart Lee and Richard Herring for coming in on this programme. Tomorrow night we've got the Flaming Stars playing some tunes, and Andrew Davis talking about art. And up next, you got Claire Sturgis. Thanks very much for listening to all of this. Good night.
Missing you already.
Thank you very much, John. And